Interestingly, it is possible to see the effects of the bad habits that can be created by using mixed methods. Children who have cracked the code and are good readers always try and work out words they have not read before. Their eyes go from left to right all through the word, processing all the letter sounds, thinking about the meaning as they go. And if the word doesn't make sense, then they go back and blend it again, perhaps trying an alternative way of pronouncing the vowels. And if they still cannot get the word, which is unusual, especially if the word is in their vocabulary, then they want to be told what it is. In contrast, the struggling children, when they have a word they cannot read, their eyes dart all over the place. You can see it. These children have usually been taught, misguidedly in my view, to look for the clues in the picture and look for known letter sounds or words within the word. So if they've got a word like creamy, if the child doesn't know that EA goes E and the Y at the end is an E sound as well, and then they blend creamy to get the word, if they only know single letter sounds and they do blend, k, r, e, a, m, y, well, that's not going to give them creamy. But what usually happens is that they just use the k and try and guess a word that starts with k. Or occasionally they might see a letter sound that they know, like the m, very well, and they try and start the word with the m. They've also been taught to look for words within a word, and they might perhaps see a word like van or age in this word. But this usually fails to give them the word. But more significantly, it trains the brain in the wrong way. The children really need to be taught to automatically blend the words from left to right in the way that good readers work out words. And interestingly, this attacking words from different directions can sometimes lead to children reading a word backwards, particularly a word like saw, which they read as was. They have learnt the common word was, but they haven't developed that automatic processing from the left. They see the letters from the right side and they quickly say was. Now, this never happens with a good reader who automatically decodes from the left to right and knows that a word starting with an S cannot be a word that begins with a W sound, as in was. Other children might also look at what else comes on the page. Or they might look up at the teacher, hoping for the answer. But mostly they guess the word. It is supposed to be predicting, but we all know it ends up as guessing, with the child desperately trying to show that he or she really can read well. And there is no doubt that this wild type of guessing is caused by expecting children to read words before they have been given sufficient phonic knowledge. Now, a well-respected scientist, Linnea Erie, who is a distinguished professor of educational psychology at the City University of New York, made the following observation in a paper presented at the 2003 DFES Phonics Seminar. Erie wrote, "When phonics instruction is introduced after students have already acquired some reading skill, it may be more difficult to step in and influence how they read because it requires changing students' habits. For example, to improve their accuracy, students may need to suppress the habit of guessing words based on context and minimal letter clues, to slow down and to examine spellings of words more fully when they read them. Findings suggest that using phonics instruction to remediate reading problems may be harder than using phonics at the earliest point to prevent reading difficulties." In other words, it is much better to teach the children the decoding process from the beginning, rather than teaching in a way that encourages wrong techniques that have to be altered at a later stage. Prevention is far better than cure.